folks, Tito, Jeff Thitoff here with the Jeff Thitoff Show on FanStream Sports. Go to FanStreamSports.com. Check us out. Great content all the time on there. We're adding all the time. Follow me on Twitter at That Happens. We'll talk to Jonathan Wells, former Buckeye, great running back, later on in the show. But first, I want to talk to you today about Ohio State losing Brian Hartline, their offensive coordinator, and what that means for the Buckeyes and college football. We'll talk about the CFP rankings as well. We'll start off. Ohio State, Brian Hartline, OC, who has really been the one who's driven the fact that Ohio State is wide receiver university. Look in the NFL, look at the current players, look at the potential future players coming through Ohio State. A lot of that tied into Brian Hartline, his ability to build relationships. Now, he is leaving Ohio State to be the head coach at University of South Florida. He knows the Florida market well. Played for the Dolphins for a long time. He's done well recruiting down there. So Hartline heading there. He will stay with Ohio State through the college football playoff, which is important. National Signing Day, the early signing period was yesterday. And the big news for Ohio State is Chris Henry Jr. Will he sign? There were reports yesterday he had signed. I don't think he has. I've talked to people on the inside of this, and he has not officially signed it as we were talking here today at about 10:35 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday. Has not happened yet. Will it happen? I don't know. Oregon's after him. USC's after him. And it's interesting because of Ohio State, the way they do things, the way they've done things. Let's put it the way they've done things, not the way they do things, the way they've done things. They typically pay players on what they've done versus what they will do. Look at other programs and look NFL too, NBA, MLB. Some franchises, organizations, universities, they will pay people based on what they will do. In Major League Baseball, look at Albert Pujols' deal with the Angels. They paid him based on what he had done and not what he will do. They overpaid for him, and they got burned in that contract. So got to be careful with that, how you do that. Ohio State wants you to show that you can do it. Typically, they've done that way. Show what you can do, and then we'll pay you. That's why they do such a great job of re-recruiting their own players. So if Chris Henry Jr. is looking just at money right now, he probably won't come to Ohio State. And I'm not saying Ohio State's not keeping a fair offer out there, but other schools, Michigan paid Bryce Underwood, not on what he had done, but what they think he will do. So if Chris Henry Jr. wants to take the most money right now, immediate gratification, I don't think he'll end up signing with Ohio State. Oregon, give him his own shoe. Phil Knight wants a championship there so badly, they will pay him and give him his own shoe, probably more than Ohio State will pay. See, USC, same way. Programs are really desperate, and I will not fault Chris Henry Jr. for choosing one of those. But seeing what happens with Ohio State going forward without Brian Hartline will be interesting to watch. Because this is, as far as Ohio State fans go, this is the greatest era. I'll ask Jonathan Wells about this too here shortly, but I feel like this is the greatest era in Ohio State football. Losing Brian Hartline is not insignificant. It's a big loss. Doesn't have to be catastrophic, but we'll see, though, who they bring in to be the OC if WRU continues without Hartline there. Hartline did a great job building relationships. He really did. And that's why Ohio State was able to do what it did. You get guys who've come in and have been clear number 2, number 3, number 4 receivers for a couple years before getting their shot. And Emeka Egbuka is a great example of that one right there. Carnell Tate, another great example of somebody who came in and did not all of a sudden be like the guy, but did get to be the guy. Emeka Egbuka now is having a Rookie of the Year type season for Tampa Bay. Carnell Tate is not the best receiver for Ohio State. He'll be a first-round pick next year. Top 20 pick probably next year in the draft in 2026. So anyway, it all depends. That's the culture Ryan Day has built. And now you lose somebody in the form of Brian Hartline, who was part of that culture. We'll see how Ohio State does after that. The CFP rankings came out, and Ohio State and Indiana, I think both of them, they're 1-2 right now. They're playing in the Big Ten championship on Saturday. Regardless of what happens in that game, they'll both be in the top 4. The winner will be number 1. The loser will be 2, 3, or 4. Regardless, both will get first-round buys, I have to believe. It gets kind of dicey after that because you've got so many variables in there. Texas Tech takes on BYU. And BYU, who's right there on the cusp, has got 1 loss this year. It's to Texas Tech. If they lose a second game to Texas Tech will probably jump up to 2. And then you've got a BYU team with 2 losses, both losses to the number 2 team. How do you grade that? Notre Dame and Miami, another situation there where how do you grade that? Miami did beat Notre Dame head-to-head. Miami has worse losses. Notre Dame's 2 losses are A&M and Miami. If you believe Miami is a playoff team, then the loss to Miami is not terrible by Notre Dame. A&M's a playoff team. Not a terrible loss. They are better than Miami's losses. Head-to-head does play into this. My problem with the CFP, though, is the way it stands right now, Miami does not get in. The ACC champ could be Duke, who might not get in either. The ACC could get completely shut out of the CFP. The 12, and that's why we have to look at this as a college football fan. Do you want the 12 best teams? Do you want the 12 most deserving teams in the playoffs? It's a different argument. I'm done with the group of 5 being involved. Does need to happen. I understand why they're doing it, but not at the expense of having the 12 best teams. I just say have the straight 12 best teams. If you're a group of 5 team, you get there, fantastic. Wonderful. You deserve it. But I don't like forcing a group of 5 team in every single year. And this year, there could be 2 group of 5 teams in that are the highest ranked conference champions, depending on the Duke-Virginia game in the ACC championship. Miami and Notre Dame and Alabama should all be, hell, maybe even Texas, should all be in the CFP. If Texas Tech beats BYU a second time, there's 2 ways to look at it. BYU's got 2 great losses, or BYU hasn't beaten anybody really that good. I'll take the latter. And Georgia, Alabama, if Alabama wins or keeps it close, Alabama should be in. But so should Miami, so should Notre Dame, and at this point, I would say so should Texas be. I think they are among the 12 best teams. You don't need BYU in there. And look, again, if BYU beats Texas Tech, they'll get in. That's fine. Do you really think BYU or a group of 5 team has a chance to win the national championship? Because I don't. I want 12 teams that I think could win a national championship. James Madison cannot. North Texas cannot. Tulane cannot. BYU will not. Texas could. Miami could. Notre Dame could. That's what I'm looking at here. The NCAA tournament men's basketball lost some of its luster because of the fact they keep adding these teams. We've got 68 teams now. You get the 4 play-in teams before you get to the field of 64. For a while, it wasn't even considered part of the tournament. Now it kind of is, I think, for most people. But it weakened the regular season. A 12-teamer does not. I don't think a 16-teamer will either. But in the NCAA tournament, I don't want a Sweet 16 comprised of Cinderellas. I loved the Sister Jean, the Oil of Chicago story. I loved the George Mason story, the Florida Atlantic story. Those are all great stories. I don't want one of those teams in my Final Four, in my Elite 8, for sure. Same thing for me with college football. Give me the best teams. Yes, in one game, Virginia Commonwealth in basketball can beat Kansas. I don't know if they played or not, but they could. That could absolutely happen in a one-game thing. But when it gets down to the Sweet 16, Elite 8, I want blue bloods. I want the best teams. And, North Carolina State with Jim Valvano, they were still an ACC team who beat some damn good ACC teams. It wasn't a group of 5 team that happened to win its conference. Villanova was a Big East team that played against Georgetown and St. John's and Syracuse and those schools, Providence. They were really good and beat some of them and then emerged to win a national championship. That's different than George Mason winning a national championship. That's different than Florida Atlantic winning a national championship. That's different than San Diego State winning a national in basketball. So I like Cinderella stories before you get to the big boys. So I'm okay with upsets the first 2 days, the NCAA tournament. After that, give me the Blue Bloods in basketball. Same thing in football. And so what I mean by that is I want Miami in over James Madison. I want Notre Dame in over BYU. Hell, I want Texas in over Tulane and North Texas. Give me the 12 best teams. Make sure all 12 are teams that could win the national championship. Because I'm telling you right now, no group of 5 team and BYU will never win a national championship under this format. They may change it, so I'll be right when they change 16. I say, oh, see, I told you so. I'm just telling you, this year, BYU will not win it, could not win it, won't win it. Same thing with James Madison, same thing with Tulane, same with North Texas. They cannot, will not win the national championship. Miami could, Texas could, Notre Dame could. Coming up next, folks, we'll take a quick break here. Jonathan Wells will join me, the former Buckeye great running back. We'll talk to him about what's going on with Ohio State, with their running game this season, with the win over Michigan, with the playoff coming, and also what he's up to lately. You can't wait to hear this. All right, now we're joined gladly, happily, proudly on the Jeff Thitoff Show here on FanStream Sports. Jonathan Wells joins us, former Buckeye great running back. By the way, Jimmy Bell, I have him on all the time with me. And when I say former Buckeye great, he gets pissed off at me. Buckeye great, okay? Buckeye great. I'm not going to say former. Buckeye great. Running back Jonathan Wells joins. Yes, Jay Bell. He always keeps me real. Jonathan Wells joins us. And I'm curious, as you watched Ohio State play Michigan, and you obviously have had a pretty important role in a win over Michigan back in your career with Ohio State. Are you, and I ask all former Buckeyes this, are you difficult to watch a game with? Because you see it from a different perspective than I see it. Mm-hmm. Do you prefer to watch it alone, or when you watch with other people, do you get annoying because you can see things they can't see?
I prefer to watch the game by myself. I'm normally at my house. I mean, when I say by myself, I mean with my immediate family, my wife and my kids or whatever.
Right.
But now this Michigan game, I had my parents come in town. I had some friends over, so we had a party at the house, and it was a ball because obviously this was a good one to watch with your family. You know what I'm saying? But
sure,
the last 4 years it wasn't. But this one right here, I watched it with the family, man, and it was amazing, an amazing win for the guys.
So when you watch that, too, in Ohio State, yes, I mean, you've obviously been on the right side of things with Ohio State against Michigan. And then these guys, you look at their first set of gold pants. And the running game this year for Ohio State, and I love Bo Jackson, I love Isaiah West, I love Donaldson, I love all of them, but they started slowly. When you were watching this team progress through the season, did you see improvements among the running backs or improvements on the offensive line that led to better numbers as the season wore on?
I think it was just about continuity. You got to remember, we had a redshirt freshman starting at quarterback. We had to get him up to speed. You're talking about a brand new offensive line across the board pretty much. And then you're talking about we've been working freshmen and freshman running back for the most part. So we had to crawl before we walk. Every week we got a little bit better at something. And by the end of the season, man, a week before the game, I said we got James Peoples and we got Bo Jackson in a kind of a zone. Because I've been saying all year, I wanted one of these running backs to be in a zone going into the game. You have to have a mentality that you cannot be stopped. And we had Bo Jackson as that. And what he did, man, was so impressive against that Michigan defense. I'm very impressed with Bo Jackson. Salute to him.
Does it piss you off there wasn't a playoff when you were there, like a 12-team playoff?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, more than a playoff, it pissed me off we didn't have NIL.
Okay, that's fine. Yes, I was gonna give you that second. Okay, yes, NIL would have been great for you, no doubt.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Yeah, would have been amazing.
But the playoff, though, it's like, because for you guys, it was you've got to beat Michigan to have a chance at anything. But now, like as Ohio State showed last year, you can lose to Michigan and still win a national title. That wasn't the case when you were there.
And this is what I've been trying to get Buckeye Nation to understand. It's not 1995, guys. Those dudes do not have any power when it comes to us anymore. Yes, it's the biggest rivalry. Yes, we want to beat them. But, man, right now, national championships are the most important thing in Buckeye Nation to me personally. I know I'm not from Ohio. I'm not from Michigan. But I don't think anybody could tell me anything about this rivalry because I put my work in. But right now, I'm more interested in winning national championships at Ohio State than anything else, including Michigan.
Okay, so you bring that up. You're not from Ohio. And I know Louisiana is where you're from. Three-time state champion, if I'm not mistaken, if I did my research right. Okay, three-time state champion. You were recruited by many schools. Why Ohio State? You're a Louisiana guy. Why Ohio State?
I'm actually the first guy ever to get a scholarship to play here from Louisiana, and I
Really?
take a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
My research sucked. Then I didn't know that. God,
I'm the first Cajun Buckeye, baby. You know that. Come on.
All right, now I do.
So, what got me here, honestly, I was a huge Notre Dame fan up until probably 93, 94.
Okay.
And when I saw Eddie George rush for 200 yards against Notre Dame, I said, I'm going there. And it was that simple. He was 6'3", 235 pounds. I was 225 pounds coming out of high school.
Right.
And a lot of schools recruited me as fullback, and some schools recruited me as linebacker as well. So I wanted to run the football, and Ohio State played huge tailbacks, and it was a no-brainer. Like, once I made my mind up in my sophomore year, I pretty much never wavered from being a Buckeye. My mind was made up.
Who was second? If you would have gone to Ohio State, who would you? Would it Notre Dame, or would it be LSU? Would it? LSU people are going to listen to it, so don't worry about that.
LSU, never. I was never staying in Louisiana. Nothing against LSU. I was never staying at home. I did not want to stay in Louisiana. It was a murder capital of the world, and I was trying to get out and see something different in my life. So that was never a chance I was staying home. I don't care if they was undefeated. I wasn't staying home. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. so not Ohio State. Who was second? What was your backup? What was the next one you would have done?
I'm gonna surprise you with this one. North Carolina.
Okay.
They was number 2 in the country that year. They had Julius Peppers.
That's right.
The wide receiver, Dre Bly.
Yep.
And man, when I tell you I had a ball on that visit, they flipped me for about 3 days. They flipped me for about 3 days. I'm gonna go on and be honest.
That's outstanding. I never knew North Carolina was your second choice. Okay, so now as you're watching this Ohio State, I pissed off Bobby Carpenter today, I think, when I host with him in the mornings on the Fan, and I told him that I believe right now is the best era of Ohio State football that's ever been in my lifetime. I'm 54 years old, so I didn't really catch the end of the Woody era, yes. But I think that even in the great Tressel era, Tressel's era was wonderful. Urban, great. But I think right now, though, is probably the pinnacle of Ohio State football. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I'm gonna have to. I definitely understand what you're saying, but that Tressel run was legendary. I mean, you don't come into a 7-5 program and then win a national championship the next year, then go 9-1 versus the team up north. I mean, Tressel's the GOAT in my book. You know what I'm saying? Then Urban came and backdoored that was 7-0 versus Michigan. So I mean, we're definitely in a great era right now. We're winning championships now. How Ryan Day can separate himself from everybody else? Win one more championship, because all those other guys, they only got one national championship at Ohio State. So once he becomes the head coach with 2, he puts himself in the next level.
Jonathan Wells joins us here, former Buckeye great Buckeye running back. Let's just say Buckeye great running back Jonathan Wells joins us here, who beat the hell out of Michigan with a great game. And I'm curious, was Jim Tressel the perfect coach for you, or was there another coach you played for that did a better job of getting the best out of you?
No, I played well. I mean, obviously, I have a ton of respect, and I actually went to Ohio State because of Tim Spencer as well, my running back coach, who was top 3 all time rushing at Ohio State when I showed up. He was another huge reason why I went there. But as far as Coach Tressel was the best thing that ever happened to Ohio State's program, because I was a part of the teams that were spiraling downhill. I was a part of that.
Sure.
We went 6-6, then we went 8-3. But we were spiraling as far as our discipline, as far as we just didn't have control over the program. And I know this personally. When Coach Tress stepped in, everything changed instantly. The respect that he demanded, how he made us learn about our history at Ohio State from the school, like everything he did was totally foreign to what anything I had experienced my first 3 years. So Tressel is definitely the guy that got this thing back rolling, and I love him.
Okay, so I'm glad you brought up Tim Spencer. Tim Spencer, so like when I first started following Ohio State football as a kid, 8, 9 years old, whatever it was Sleesher, it was Tim Spencer, it was Calvin Murray, it was Gary Williams, Doug Donnelly. But Tim Spencer, though, was an elite running back. He really was. And he went on and played well in the NFL and USFL for the Chicago Blitz before having this long career as a running backs coach. And I'm curious, as a coach, what did Tim Spencer do for you? What did he teach you? What did you get from being under Tim Spencer?
Tim Spencer, man, you got to be tough. You got to be a tough SOB to play for Tim Spencer. That's number one. And I love him because he was fair. Even when he was tough on us, he was always fair. He always gave me a shot to always, do what I could do while I was in Buckeye Nation. So Tim Spencer, man, he's legendary. But his drive, his energy, and just the respect I had for him because he had already done it at the highest level is another major reason why I showed up to Buckeye Nation. So I got to give a shout out to Coach Spence.
God, he was so good in the USFL. He was a really good runner. He's one of the guys. When I watched Ohio State, he was a man
now,
among guys.
Mind you, I just went back because I'm in this reflective state, so I'm watching all these old films because I never watched him play. I never watched Archie Griffin play. I never watched these guys play. So now I'm going back and watching. I just went and watched Tim Spencer play against BYU, and I'm checking out a bunch of different games. You know what I'm saying that I just didn't know about. But yeah, Coach Spence was a dog.
Was he 46? Do I remember that correctly? He was number 46, right? Okay,
yeah.
I want to make sure I got that right because I loved watching him at Ohio State. It was a lot of fun to watch him play. Now for you, I know you've got a lot of things you're doing right now. You're a busy guy, coaching wise, because we see a lot of former Buckeyes getting into coaching. Is that something that you got like a desire? Do you want to be? Do you like to mentor? Or are you more of like a off the field kind of coach?
Yeah, no, I would never want to do coaching. If I wanted to do that, I would have got into that right after I got done out of the NFL. No, I just love, first of all, I'm passionate about the game of football and I'm passionate about my programs. You know what I'm saying? I don't watch any other football. I don't watch the NFL. I strictly watch John Curtis, which is my high school, and the Buckeyes. Other than that, I don't watch sports. I'm being honest with you. So this is just my passion for the schools that I was able to be blessed to play for. But I forgot the rest of the question. What was the question?
No, okay, so you know what Coach I'm saying, but as far as off the field, I'm sure we talked about the NIL thing. I'm sure you could be a resource for people who are looking at NIL out of the high school thing. I'm sure you're somebody they could talk to who's got the business acumen to maybe point them in the right way. Is that right?
Yes. Now, yeah, I would more like to be in a role like a Maurice Correct. I want to be around, but I'm not looking forward to sitting in meetings 12, 15 hours a day watching football. That's never been on my plan. So, but yeah, I would love to be around the kids. I would love to be honored to speak to the team one day. But other than that, I'll do my mentoring from wherever I'm at in the world.
Okay, so you were drafted by the Texans, I believe. I know you were at the Colts as well. Since you've gotten out of the NFL, then what have you been up to?
Immediately after NFL, I started a record label in Atlanta. I did that for 10 years. I signed a couple of artists to Jive and Sony Records, had a couple of Billboard hits with a couple of my groups. So I did that for 10 years, and now I'm just focused on Jwells Media Group. My wife and I have a consulting company. We consult hotels and resorts all around the world. But right now, I'm really focused on getting Jwells Media Group going, and my Facebook page has literally exploded here in the last couple of months. So I'm focused on getting that together. But Jwells Media Group. I'll be shooting documentaries on former athletes soon. That's where I'm going next.
Okay, so when you do that with former athletes, like you talk about the documentaries, I've got to believe you've got a unique perspective. Somebody might direct something or produce something that's not in the sports world, hadn't been through it. I got to believe since you've been through all of this, you've seen every side of this, the highs and the lows with sports, with athletes and things. That's got to be a benefit to you, an advantage when you're doing these things, right?
Well, I haven't officially kicked it off yet. I'm actually going to start with my personal documentary first, so I can get my trial and error on mine, and then from there, I already have like 5 or 10 people that I'm gonna start hitting up and go. But the thing about me is, man, we got all these former athletes out here, and everybody has their own personal story. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a high school story. Everybody has a college story. And I actually want to go to their hometowns. I want to go to their high school. I want to get where they come from and actually give them a chance to tell their story. And because a lot of former players, man, let's be real, we feel forgotten after we get done playing. So I want to give them a platform to where their story lives on forever through Jwells Media Group.
Did you feel forgotten at one point?
Absolutely, man. I hated myself after my NFL career. You know how much money I left on the field because of my bad decision. One bad decision cost me my whole career, my whole next check. You know what I'm saying? So I never got to my second contract because I fired the #1 agent in football like a dummy and tried to go with somebody else, and they totally screwed me up out of my whole free agency. I never even got my second contract. Think about that.
Okay, how did you? Okay, you said you hated yourself. You hated yourself at that moment, and you realized I made a mistake. How did you bounce back? What was there something happened? Was there a certain moment or a certain time or a certain person you talked to or come to Jesus, whatever it was, where you can remember this is when it turned around for me. I realized I got to stop hating myself. I've got a lot more to offer.
It was a lot of coming to Jesus, that's for sure. But my wife, I have to give my wife 100% credit. She really, I would say my wife saved my life. I went through a terrible depression for years after football. Trust me, like really bad. Then I reconnected with my now wife, and things have been looking up ever since, man. But it took me a long time to recover because when you leave $10, $15 million on the football field that you rightfully earned, man, that's tough. That's a tough pill to swallow, bro. So I'm still chasing that money that I left on that field. You know what I'm saying? But I'm at peace now. I'm happy. Like, I'm showing all this football stuff now. Dude, I wouldn't even watch or talk about this shit for like years. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like, I'm just now starting to really enjoy what I was able to accomplish in my career because I went 10, 15 years hating myself.
Okay, see, John, I'll tell you this. Buckeye fans, I don't think have any, and I want to make sure I phrase this correctly. I don't care about your NFL career or what happened. Like, you're Jonathan Wells, Buckeye guy who beat the hell out of Michigan. I think a lot of Buckeye fans look at that and think he's a Buckeye. He's Ohio State. They don't know that story. I'm excited is the wrong word. I'm interested to hear about your story, your path, all this today. You've been talking about this. Like, I had no idea that the where you were at and where you came from to get to where you're at now. It's a really cool story. And you're right. I love that the fact you recognize that all these different athletes have got their own stories. I mean, somebody can write stories they want to. They could be writers that's creative and all that. But there are stories out there that you're going to find, right? People you're going to talk to, their high schools, growing up, where they're at now and why they got to where they are now. That's exciting for you, I got to believe.
Yeah, it is. And it's something I've been wanting to do a long time, but I said I'm not going to do it until I have the proper partnership, the proper funding. I'm just not going to half do it. You know what I'm saying? So until I get that right partnership, I've been waiting because my story is still being written. It's not finished yet. But I know my past and where I come from and all that. It's a hell of a story, man. And I know a lot of people be inspired by it. But I'm definitely more looking forward to getting to, the Cornelius Greens of the world, the Tim Spencers of the Tim Spencers of the world. I want to do something on Coach Spence. I've been talking to him. So therefore, there's a lot of people out here that I want to definitely get in front of and let them tell their story, man, because I want to know about it.
Jonathan, appreciate the time. We're going to talk again soon. Tell people where to find you on social media, how to follow you, and all the things you're doing.
You can find me on Jwells Media Group on Instagram, which I'm not really that active on there now, just stories. But if you really want that smoke, Buckeye Nation, find me on my Facebook page. I guarantee you it's the best Ohio State Facebook page that there is on Facebook. Trust me, I go hard on that thing. And I've been doing it for 10 years. I haven't just started this. I've been going live after every single Ohio State game for at least 10 years. So now I'm finally starting to see the payoff from that. And I appreciate y'all, Buckeye Nation. Y'all blowing the page up. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Tito, man. Thank you. Have a great one, boss.
Great stuff from Jonathan Wells there, former Buckeye great running back. I'll say former now because he's not on the air and he can't tell me I'm wrong. It's true, though. Great Buckeye running back. Had wonderful moments against Michigan, doing great things now. And love the honesty and transparency from Jonathan Wells. So give him a follow on social media. Go check him out. See all the stuff he's doing. I wanted to talk next about this. In Major League Baseball, there is a potential lockout forthcoming. It'll happen. There'll be some kind of strike or lockout, whatever. I don't get into semantics about it. What it probably means at some point is there won't be baseball when there's supposed to be baseball. Let's put it that way. One of the big sticking points with the owners and the players, the owners want a salary cap. The players do not. I understand both sides of it. The players have long thrived in not having a salary cap, which is why, and by the way, when free agency first happened back in the 70s, way back then, the owners, some of the more frugal owners said, well, these guys won't be able to help themselves. We shouldn't have free agency because it'll be crazy. And sure enough, then some teams signed big contracts to players. Some performed, some didn't. Owners can't help themselves. Look at the Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers spent well. Look, they're being smart what they did with Ohtani. That's brilliant. The way they've got Ohtani's money spread out over so many years to where, like, Ohtani then benefits from no state taxes in California. And when he retires, he can collect his money while not living in California and will avoid paying huge taxes on that. It's brilliant. It's very smart. Business smart. What's surprising to me, though, is Dave Roberts, the manager of the Dodgers, said he's actually, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he's okay with the salary cap. Now, for baseball, there is a luxury tax. If you spend over a certain amount of money, you've got to pay a penalty for that. So that's kind of is it a soft salary cap, I guess is what it is. But it doesn't prevent teams like the Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox, Padres, Giants, am I missing anybody? From spending well over the number and just paying the penalty on it. The Dodgers would tell you it's paid off. They're actually probably happy with how it's worked. A salary cap is great for fans and owners. It's not great for players. But I will tell you, sports fans, I want you to think about this. This is a deep thought here. Sports are better for fans when the players have little leverage. Now think about that. Baseball was America's pastime for years. Why? Because the players didn't have free agency. When a team drafted you, when a team got your rights, they held it forever. You can say Mickey Mantle and Joe DiMaggio and Pee Wee Reese and Don Drysdale, you can say they were loyal. They had no choice. They couldn't. Pete Rose was loyal to the Reds until he didn't have to be. Then he went to Philadelphia after the 1978 season. So to praise the loyalty of the players, they really had no choice back then. And baseball truly was America's game for decades. It was America's game. Why? Because if you lived in St. Louis, you knew Stan Musial, you knew Bob Gibson, you knew Lou Brock. They were your guys. As long as they were good, they weren't going anywhere. They weren't getting traded, but they sure as hell weren't going to be free agents. There's no arbitration. Bob Gibson goes in and they say, Bob, what do you want? Bob says, I want X. The Cardinals say, well, we'll give you Y. Bob says yes and signs, or Bob says no and doesn't play baseball. That's the way it was. Football was great for a long time after that then. Then the players get power, free agency hits, things change. Still incredibly popular. But they have a salary cap that limits the players' power. NBA, guaranteed contracts for everybody. You can sign a $300 million contract and then get fat and never play again. You get $300 million. So in college football, let's look at college football for that. College football, once players started having freedom, great for the players, it makes perfect sense. Great for the fans? Maybe not. Remember back when? Let's just look even at the Fab Five and the Duke era. Guys didn't go pro after 1 year. Typically, they stayed 2, 3, 4 years. Leitner was there 4 years. The Fab Five, they were together for 2 years. And then after one of them left, they were there still a couple more years. And once the players got power, it changed. And again, I am not saying I'm anti-player. I think it's wonderful for the players. But just think about it for yourself as a sports fan. If the players have guaranteed contracts and freedom, is it better for you as a fan? I don't think it is. It doesn't mean it's wrong for the players. But if you've got guaranteed money, does that, what's going to push you then? LeBron's pushed. LeBron wants to be the greatest of all time. He wants that. There are other players that want to be great. There are some players, though, who were great and got paid and then weren't great anymore. Look at the Clippers roster in LA in the NBA. Not the same. So I guess what I'm getting around to is Dave Roberts said, the thing I was surprised about, Dave Roberts said he is okay with salary caps in baseball, and he's on a team where a bunch of players would probably say, no, we don't want a salary cap in baseball. Baseball players have fought on that. Baseball players will die on that hill. I don't think we'll see a salary cap in baseball, although they probably need it. If you're not going to have a salary cap in baseball, by the way, they need to cut some of these owners loose. Because there are some owners who are just going to take the luxury tax money they get from the highest paid teams that go over the number and have to pay the luxury tax. They will live off that and not reinvest it in free agents or their own franchise. Look at the Pirates. God, look at the Reds. And the Reds, I hope this year, as a Reds fan, I hope they change that around. But will the teams, the A's, will the teams that get that money turn around and invest it in free agents? I don't think most of them do. I know there's a floor in baseball. There's absolutely that. There's a floor in baseball. You've got to spend a certain amount to be like at the salary floor. But a salary cap, I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think the players will end up dying on that hill. They get guaranteed money. They all do. Some deserve it and earn it. Some don't. But I'm just curious about that. Follow me on That Happens. Love to hear your thoughts on this, or comment here on this on the show here on your thoughts on that. But I don't think a salary cap happens in baseball, but I do believe that when the players don't have as much freedom as they have right now in any sport, it's better for the consumer. It's not right, but it's better. You can make other analogies from that if you want to as well, with life and things you do and things you see and history of the country. You can look at all those things and decide when things were better for the consumer. All right, that's it. Thanks so much for being here. Thank you again to Jonathan Wells for coming on. Lots to talk about, folks, in sports this week. Lots going on. The holiday season. Thank you. Follow me on Twitter That Happens. FanStreamSports.com. Like, listen, subscribe to all of our shows. Lots of great stuff coming out all the time. We will talk again soon. This is Jeff Thitoff on the Jeff Thitoff Show on FanStream Sports.